Hello and welcome back to Fallout 76. Today we are going to have a look at my Power Armor Commando build. I wanted to do a commando that doesn't rely on stealth or VATS, and this is the result. So starting with legendary perks, this character is level 96, so you would only have access to one legendary perk. And since we're using power armor, I think electric absorption is an automatic first choice. This perk is actually really good. It will charge your fusion cores, and it will heal you whenever you encounter enemies using energy weapons. That includes robots, super mutants, and blood eagles. Those are the kind of top ones. Once in a while, you get the aliens, the seasonal event or daily ops. Aliens really can't do anything to you at all when you have this perk. So this to me is this is always going to be my first choice if I'm using power armor. Now, since we don't have a backpack because of power armor, we have to reduce the weight of things other ways. So we have traveling pharmacy for 90% reduction on chems. Now, this is a perk that you may want to switch out. I am using full charge. It's really not helpful to me at this point. Early on, it's actually really useful when you're accumulating fusion cores because most of the ones you find will not be fully charged. In fact, if you loot fusion cores from power armor spawns, they're only going to be 25% charged. So having something that reduces the drain on them from sprinting, I mean, this basically means when I sprint, there's no additional drain. So it's actually really helpful. And this character is only using energy weapons. If I was using ballistic, what I would do is I would swap this out for bandolier. And we want as much damage as possible, so we have all the commando cards maxed out, and we have tank killer. And we're also using ground pounder, so we can reload quicker. We don't need concentrated fire. We're not using VATS, so that won't help us at all. So we have fireproof for less explosion damage. Now, when you have power armor, that will reduce things quite a bit over regular armor, but this still will help. I mean, this will help a little bit, but if I ever get out of the power armor and use regular armor, then this will help a lot more. So that is a good perk. Tenderizer, help us get a little bit of extra damage. Now, I'm not currently on a team, but if I was, friendly fire is helpful. The energy guns I'm using, at least 2 out of the 3, do fire damage. So friendly fire can help heal teammates. It can help heal NPCs and events. So that is a useful perk. Since I am using energy guns, I have all the science perks maxed out. It's not a ton of extra damage, but it is extra. So we're taking extra damage wherever we can. Because we're not using VATS, we're not using critical hits, we want all the help we can get. Batteries included, that reduces the weight of our energy ammo. Energy ammo is heavier than ballistics, so this helps a lot. It also reduces the weight of fusion cores. So this is definitely a must-have perk. And energy guns wear out quicker than ballistic. And in the case of the plasma flamer, much quicker. So gunsmith for me is, at this point, until I get a lot of repair kits, this is a perk that I just have to have. I do have Action Boy for extra AP regen. Now, I'm not using VATS, so I don't really care about it from that point of view. But when I am sprinting, AP does drain rather quickly. So having Action Boy helps those AP come back quicker. Born Survivor. Now, power armor does reduce incoming damage by a lot, so you'll just take less damage overall. And with Born Survivor, that means that I really don't have to pay attention to my health at all. I just have to have a supply of stim packs. And I have adrenaline when I am in a crowd of enemies, and most enemies do not come at one at a time. They come in crowds. So in a crowd of enemies, this will ramp up the damage with each kill. Bloody Mess, extra damage. And Starch Jeans. This character only has one mutation, so you may want to have other ones, but I found one mutation that I was looking for, and then I kind of stopped looking. But if I was going to keep this character going, I'd probably want to add a few. But I'm only using one mutation, but I do want to hold on to it, so that's why we have Starch Jeans. And that mutation I'm using is Speed Demon, and the main reason is the reload speed. Now, you do move around faster, which is nice, but it's the reload speed. That's the main reason I'm using this. Now, as far as the power armor I'm using, it is actually a mix of pieces. I have six different kinds of power armor. I have a T-51B helmet, a T-45 left arm. That was actually looted from just a random power armor spawn, and I haven't had any drops, any legendary left arm drops. Otherwise, this would have been replaced, but it's still fine. I have a regenerating ultrasight torso, which also, I think this gives me it does less explosion damage. So it reduces explosive damage by a little bit and heals me by a little bit. I have this Raider right leg, and the main reason I have that, it does give me AP regen, but I'm also getting radiation recovery, which is kind of nice. And then I have this Ghoul Slayer's piece. Really, Ghoul Slayer's isn't all that useful, and this is just a 1-star piece, so it's not really doing a lot, but it is in good condition, and that's why I replaced it, because what I was using before was not legendary. And then I have this Excavator left leg, and it also has radiation recovery and a little bit of poison resistance. So overall, just kind of a mix of pieces, whatever, basically the best thing that's ever dropped, here and there, from events, from legendary enemies, just kind of a mishmash of parts. Now, with the weapons we have, we can actually deal with any kind of content in the game. We can do fine in events, we can do damage against bosses, we do fine running around, we can do questing. Whatever we need to do, we have a weapon for the situation. So I do have this Tesla rifle. This was one I crafted. I rolled a bunch. It's really not that great. Really, you want quad, because the main reason I use this is for tagging in events. This is probably the best weapon you can use for tagging in events. Quad is better because it does only hold 15 rounds, but we do have faster reloads, so that helps a bit because we will be reloading quite a bit. For the distant engagements, I have this automatic laser rifle. Now, this wasn't one that I rolled. This was actually something I found in just a random player vendor for really cheap, so I thought I'd buy it, and yeah, found a use for it. So it is quad, so big ammo capacity. Critical damage doesn't help us a lot because we will not be using VATS at all, but the faster reload speed is nice. But you can see we hold 117 rounds, and we do have this modified with the gamma wave emitter, and that way we get fire damage, and it works with friendly fire. And all the rest of the mods on there are basically for hip fire accuracy. For the most part, I'm not aiming. I'm just running around shooting things. That was kind of the idea with this build. I just want to run around, shoot things. I don't want to have to aim in VATS, out of VATS at all. I just want to run around and shoot stuff. And for those really close-up encounters, I have a plasma rifle with the flamer mod, and I'm using the gamma wave emitter. Again, that works with friendly fire. Now, this one is mutants, but as you can see, I only have one mutation, so I'm only getting a 5% buff, which is basically nothing. Limb damage is okay. That actually helps with crippling enemies, but this actually, the thing that this does really well is just kill stuff. You just have to be in close range. So for the close-up encounters, this is kind of my go-to weapon. Another thing I forgot to point out about the power armor is that it is all unmodded. These are just as is. Character doesn't really know a lot in the way of mods and don't have a ton of materials. But as you can see, this is, damage isn't huge. And I can still get staggered, but the damage isn't huge. But now that we have stuff close to us, let's switch over to that plasma flamer. And that should do better work. Still get staggered, but it's kind of nice. I don't have to worry about, I mean, I do have a little bit of poison. Oh, the blight, awesome. So, but I do have Born Survivor, so that should keep me alive. Assuming I'm not taking too much damage, although I don't know. That is on a timer, so there we go, kicked in. It only activates once every, I think, 30 seconds. But we're doing okay. We haven't died yet, and we're taking him down. Now, the downside about using, of being out of VATS completely is you will use a lot more ammo, and the same with being out of stealth. You use a lot more ammo, but if you can keep up with the ammo, this is pretty effective, and you can see I didn't die. Now, one thing about ammo is that fusion cells drop in pretty small amounts, so that's one that that one can be difficult to keep up with. Plasma cartridges tend to drop in large amounts, and so even using the plasma flamer and not really caring about, let's see, not really caring about preserving ammo, I still tend to accumulate it rather than ever having to craft it. So that is something to be aware of. Now, in theory, should just be able to tank. Oh, that one's legendary. If they do energy damage, I should be able to just tank that damage. Keep my fusion cores charged up. Now, at this point, I have quite a few fusion cores. I think, what is it, 23? The way I started with this is I would just loot. Yeah, robots are not really much of a problem at all. Ooh, anti-armor something. Security baton. Awesome. Now, the way I started accumulating fusion cores is I would, basically, I would look for power armor spawns, and I would pick them up, and those were always 25% charged. And what I would do is I would just equip the lowest charged fusion core I had, and when I fought an enemy that had, or a group of enemies that did electric or energy damage, my fusion core would always be 100% charged after that. And then when the fight was over, I would just get out of my power armor, swap in the lowest charged fusion core, and do the same thing again. And eventually I ended up with a whole bunch of fusion cores that are all 100%. I will say that I do really like the mismatched power armor. The downside of that, of course, is obviously you can't get any kind of set bonus, and it also prevents you from benefiting from funky duds or sizzling style. But still, I like the look. It's kind of fun. I mean, everybody has matching armor, so having... and you can actually paint it to match the same, although this is... I think I painted the leg. I think that's all I did, but you can see robots, not an issue. And if I had a vampire weapon, like a vampire flamer, then you'd be pretty much unkillable from, oh, ran out of ammo. That doesn't happen very often. But you can see, do pretty well. Even though we're going through a lot of ammo, we do pretty well. So for my purposes, even a 1-star quad laser rifle would be just fine. I'm not really benefiting from that 2nd star. You know, faster reload is nice, but since you're not reloading a lot, it's not a huge deal. Let's switch over to the plasma here. Make quicker work of them. Plasma's nice. It's nice to have, now that one I wouldn't necessarily want as quad. I'd probably want either, if you get your hands on a vampire flamer, that whether it's Enclave or otherwise, this is just a standard flamer. But either way, vampire would be really nice. Now, laser mods, farming mods for, like, the laser gun plan itself is actually, it's a random spawn. I never actually got it on this character. I looked quite a bit, but it's a random weapon spawn. You can't really buy it, so it's not, that could be a little bit elusive, so I never found it. But laser weapon or laser rifles and pistols are pretty plentiful. Let's just switch over to the plasma here. Laser rifles and pistols are pretty plentiful, so getting one to use for yourself and getting others to scrap and learn mods, pretty easy. Let's see, hopefully Born Survivor kicks in, but we're doing no problem at all. Plasma's a little trickier. Blood Eagles use plasma weapons, so that is a good source, but what I found is very often, they didn't have the, like they would be shooting me with a plasma gun, and then I go to loot them, and it would be like a double barrel shotgun or something. So plasma guns are a lot more difficult to get mods. The upside of that is you can buy the plasma plan, but it requires rarer materials to craft. So learning plasma mods is a lot slower going than rifle mods, or laser mods rather. For fighting a Scorch Beast, I actually took out Bloody Mess and I put in Tormentor so I could have a chance to cripple the wings and get it to land. All right, here we go. Found the Fisher site. I had to actually find it. I hadn't been here before, so I had to do a little bit of walking. But yeah, having that big ammo capacity is nice. Let's see, there we are. The downside about not using VATS is I will not be able to target the wing super. Let's see here. It's kind of far away. We'll have to do a little bit of mop up of all these. Oh, that's not a Scorch. That's a Blood Eagle. Apparently doesn't know what's good for him. Okay, there's the Scorch Beast. Let's see if we can do a hip fire thing. Problem is the range isn't. Oh, okay, is it gonna land? Problem is the range on laser guns isn't super far. And with automatic weapons, Tormentor, oh, that looks like they're landing. Okay, let's, hopefully we can get there in time. We'll take the plasma flamer out and fight him that way. Now, the flame damage from these things isn't a lot, but it is fun watching the enemies burn. Seeing your enemies on fire. But you can see, we're taking care of everything pretty well. And we haven't died yet. We do take damage, of course, because we're always in the middle of it. We're not sneaking, but Born Survivor and a big pile of stim packs keeps us alive. And there you have it, my Power Armor Commando build. This is not the way I normally play Commando, and I've been having a lot of fun with this. Especially, I love the look of the mismatched armor. It's a lot of fun. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit one of the buttons down below, and I hope you'll join me in the next one. Thank you very much.